Welcome back, lottery fans. If you've ever wondered how we do our pick four rundowns for our lottery predictions, want to know more, because I'm going to show you one of the techniques that we use today. It's a simple one that you can go ahead and do at home, and we provided everything for you, including the rundown worksheet, and I'm going to show you how to use it. Now, if you want to do this at home, make sure you copy this rundown worksheet, which is available for free on our website, lotterypredictor.com, in the resources section. I'll leave a link down below in the description as well, but you can grab this, print this out and follow along, or you can just use the numbers that I'm going to go ahead and do here. So we're going to do a very simple pick four rundown. This is a tic-tac-toe rundown worksheet, and we're going to go ahead and do two examples for you today. I'm going to show you one using the mirror numbers and one using the flip numbers, and those are on the cheat sheet here as well. So what I've done is we're going ahead and pick a state to start with, and we're going to choose Florida as our example state today, as it's nice and sunny down there and warm. And we're actually going to, what we've done is we've gone ahead and checked out the last four results in the Florida Evening Lottery. And what we've done is we've got a 5007. We're going to write those four results in our past drawings on the cheat sheet here with a 0911. We've got a 3505 and a 0641. Now, once you've gone ahead and got those past drawings, you can start filling in the base grid here. And all the base grid does is it gives you a nice foundation to fill in the translated grid, and I'll show you how to do that in a minute. Now, you can use this for any state. As I said, we're using Florida, but if you want to go ahead and use your state, go ahead and just look up the last four drawings. You can actually do that on Lottery Predictor as well. But just fill them in as you do on the top there. Then you take the very first number and you fill it into the top line on the base grid. So we're going to fit 5007, just like that. Now we're going to take our second number here and we'll put it on the second line. So 0911. We take our third number, a 3505, and put that on the third line. And then you can guess what's coming next. The fourth number will go down onto that last line there, 0641. Simple as that. Now you've got the entire base grid filled out, ready to go to create our translated grid. Now this is where our mirror numbers and our flip numbers come into practice. I'm going to use the mirror numbers for this first one, and in the next rundown I do for the next state, I'll go ahead and change to the flip numbers so you can see how that works. And it's a really simple process, especially simple if you have these cheat sheets here. All we do is we take each box here, we translate each number in each box over into the corresponding mirror number and fill it in the same spot. So we'll start with the 5 in the top left here. We look along the top line here of our mirror numbers and we see a 5 there. We take the number directly below it, which is a 0. So 5 here and put a 0 here. Next one on the base grid is a 0. So we come all the way along to a 0. Underneath it is a 5, so we'll put a 5 there. Same again, 0 becomes a 5. And then in the top right, we've got a 7. So we're going to come along all the way to the top, 7 here. Right below it is a 2, so we'll fill in a 2 there. And we're just going to do the same process all the way across until we filled in all of these numbers. So 0 becomes a 5, 9 becomes a 4, 1 becomes a 6, 1 becomes a 6, 3 becomes an 8, 5 becomes a 0, 0 becomes a 5, 5 becomes a 0. So you see how this went. After you've done this a few times, you'll be able to rattle these off in your head without even having to look this up. But this is a really handy cheat whilst you're actually still trying to get to grips with how to do this. 0 becomes a 5, 6 is a 1, 4 is a 9, and 1 is a 6. Simple as that. So now we've got two grids filled out. We've got our base grid and we've got our translated grid using the mirror numbers. Now this is where the fun part comes in, where we actually go ahead and get our predictions. What we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and apply a pattern to each of these grids. We'll say apply the same pattern to it. And when I say a pattern, we're basically going to pick a series of lines, either diagonal or horizontal. It doesn't always have to be diagonal or horizontal. Sometimes we choose L-shaped patterns as well. But we apply those patterns and then we go ahead and use that to get our suggested numbers. So for this one, we're going to keep it very, very simple. I'll change the pattern on the next one so you can see us using a different pattern as well. But for this one, we're just going to use the horizontal lines straight down. So we'll start with this one here. That gives us a 5030. The second one down right here, that's a 0956. Next one down here, That's a 0, 1, 0, 4. And then the final one is a 7, 1, 5, 1. And we're going to apply exactly the same pattern to our translated grid to get the bottom four numbers as well. Now, it's important to make sure you always use the same pattern on both grids. That's the beauty of this one, why it works, because you've got the translated grid, the translated numbers with our mirrors. What you'll find is once you apply the same pattern, you'll get the mirrors of those numbers underneath it as well. And that's where the good predictions come in. So go straight down here. That gives us a 0, and I just realized I made a mistake here. This should be a 5 here. So 0, 5, 8, 5. And down here gives us a 5, 4, 0, 1. Down here gives us a 5, 6, 5, 9. And then down here is a 2, 6, 0, 6. So there we go. These are the numbers, if you're playing the Pick 4 lottery, that you're going to want to go ahead and start playing. As I said, go ahead and give this a try in your state. But I'm going to give another example here, this time using the flip numbers, and we'll use a different state and a different pattern as well, so you can see how the different patterns work. And this time we're going to use Texas. Texas has a lot of lotteries. If you're from Texas, you'll know that. If you're not from Texas, go ahead and look it up. You'll see how many lotteries they have. They play a lot. Good for Texas. All right, so we've gone ahead and we've looked at our last four results for the Texas Pick 4 lottery in the evening. And we've got a 2, 6, 1, 3, a 0, 1, 6, 8, a 2, 2, 5, 4, and a 4, 3, 0, 4. So we filled in those last four drawings here on the actual on our grid here. And for this one, we're just going to do the same again. We're going to put in all those numbers on our base grid. Now, there are other runs downs, which I'm going to show you later on, which can use, just say, for example, the last drawing, and we use a different pattern to fill in our base grids, but that gets a little bit more complex. Today, I'm only focusing on the most simple rundown that you can do for you without getting too complicated. So we'll put our numbers along horizontally in our base grid. So 2, 6, 1, 3. Our second one goes on the second line, 0, 1, 6, 8. Third one goes on third line, 2, 2, 5, 4. And then the last one on the last line, a 4, 3, 0, 4. Just like that. Super simple. Now, we use mirror numbers on the last one to fill in our translated grid. This time I'm going to use the flip numbers instead. Exactly the same process, so go ahead and make sure you're following along with the same process. Just instead of the mirror numbers on the left, we're using the flip numbers on the right here. We're going to take each number from each square and fill in its corresponding number on the translated grid using our cheat sheet. So we start with 2. On the top line, we look up 2, and underneath it is a 5. So we'll put in a 5 there. 6 is the next number along the top line. Underneath it's a 9, so we'll put in a 9 there. Same again, 1 on the top line, underneath it's a 4, so we put a 4 there. And then the last one on that line, 3 over here on the top line, underneath it's a 6, so we put in a 6 there. Go along and we'll do the same again. So 0 becomes a 3, 1 becomes a 4, 6 becomes a 9, 8 becomes a 1, 2 becomes a 5, 2 becomes a 5, 5 becomes an 8, 4 is a 7, 4 is 7, 3 is 6, 0 is 3, and 4 is 7. Simple as that. As I said, once you get used to it, you can do these from your head and from memory without having to worry about going ahead and using the cheat sheet. But certainly for the time being, rely on the cheat sheet so you don't make mistakes like I did in the last one. All right, so now that we've got our base grid and our translated grid, we can go ahead and fill in our patterns here. And last time we did straight downs as our patterns. This time we're going to do it a little bit differently. And the patterns are really up to you how you want to do them. I like to keep track of which patterns are working in which state and apply those on a rotating basis, because that just helps a little bit more. But for this one, we're going to use a crisscross pattern and then a horizontal to get 4 lines. So we'll start by going top left to bottom right. That will give us a 2, 1, 5, 4. Then top left to bottom, top right to bottom left, a 3, 6, 2, 4. And then we'll take our 2 horizontal numbers here. So we're actually going to replay those numbers which is sometimes a good thing with the traveling numbers. So we'll get a 0, 1, 6, 8. The nice thing is, by playing those numbers again, we play those exact numbers as the flip numbers. And then a 2, 2, 5, 4. I would not recommend doing all horizontals because that would just replay all four numbers. Just two of them is fine because sometimes we see those come up again. And certainly when you get to the translated grid, you get fresh numbers. Anything more than two horizontals is probably too much. All right, as we said the last time, we're going to play exactly the same pattern on our translated grid to get our flip numbers. So coming down here, we'll get a 5, 4, 8, 7. Across here, we get a 6, 9, 5, 7. And then our two horizontal ones gives us a 3, 4, 9, 1 and a 5, 5, 8, 7. And that's it. Simple as that. If you're in Texas, go ahead and play these. All right, that's your rundown for today. I'll be doing some more tutorials later on for different types of rundowns, pick threes and pick fours, and then using some more complex methodologies to fill in our base grid and translated grids, and then switching out to some other types of rundowns as well. So definitely make sure you're subscribed to the channel. Make sure you like this video, share it to anyone that might like it, and leave me a comment with your state, and that way I'll know who's from most states, and I'll try and gear these tutorials to your state for the next time. All right, take care and good luck.